Okay, that was a great first intermission, or first half. That was a great intermission too, I'm sure, right? Was that good food? Great intermission, great. So we're gonna let people move on back in. And as they're doing that, I just want to bring up a couple of matters. First is that the top 5 finishers, according to the judges' scores, will get cash prizes. Top prize is $500 and lower for the others. It's not really cash though, it's plastic. But we don't want the crowd to feel like you have no say in this. So please remember who you think did the best, and we're gonna have a crowd favorite as well. And so if at the end of this, you will all make your way back to that, the table that you saw when you first came in, we'll have a place that you can put in the name of who you thought did the best. And so remember that. If you don't remember their name, we have a board there with the pictures of all the participants, and hopefully the pictures will help you ring their name. If you don't remember that, then find the person and say, hey, what's your name? I think you did a good job. And then put their name in the hat. So we'll have a crowd favorite, as well as there's a raffle going on, and that will help to support this evening to happen again next year. And so, again, we have some $25 gift cards from our sponsors that you could win. You probably will win if you buy a raffle ticket, right? That's how raffles win. So go ahead and buy the raffle tickets. That'll help support us. So before we get into the heat of things, and I need 4 more volunteers. So who will be so brave? And again, we have gift cards and swag bags on the line. So who will give me a volunteer? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. All right. A couple of these participants, they couldn't get enough of the stage. They need more. All right. So we've got Jeanette Miller from Denon. We have James. What's your last name again? Haynes. James Haynes. We have Michelle. What's your last name again?
Heather.
Heather Manson. Michelle went second or something. And what's your name?
Yossi.
Yossi. All right. So you have formed teams. Thank you for doing that so well. So last time we had some trivia that was Delaware-centric. This time we're going to stay in the sciences. So this is some science trivia for you. We'll see how much you know about these random things. First off, scientists sometimes have funny names when you describe what they study. Like you could be a biologist or a microbiologist. I don't know. What are some other ones? You've got ornithologist. Yeah. Anthropologist. Yes. What was that one? Okay, there we go. Limnologist. That is the question. What does a limnologist study? Thank you, Susan. So, talk it amongst... Yes, that's a question for the teams. All right. So, are you ready? Yossi.
Lakes.
Lakes. He says lakes. You say?
We're going to say rocks.
Rocks. The correct answer is lakes. It's inland bodies of water. So, good job, team you. All right, and should I give the full definition? Inland waters, no, I shouldn't. So, here in Delaware, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. My question for you is, at what temperature does water boil in Denver, Colorado? Either one, Celsius or Fahrenheit, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Or Kelvin, sure. Subtract 273, right? Okay, we'll go here first.
This is my chance to get another one wrong, right? We're going to say 200.
200. Fahrenheit. 200 Fahrenheit. Wait?
Fahrenheit. Yeah.
200 Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's 12 degrees cooler than here. Okay, you say?
85 degrees Celsius.
85 degrees Celsius. Okay, well, the correct answer is 203 degrees Fahrenheit or 95 degrees Celsius. So you're both close. You both understand that there's less atmospheric pressure, so it boils at a lower temperature. Very good for you, but I'm going to give it to you guys as being a little bit closer. So good job, Team U. Okay, so it's 1-1. This is a close battle. So we've all seen the following things happen. We've seen water boil. We've seen nails rust, and we've seen sugar dissolve. My question for you is, which one of those three processes, nails rusting, water boiling, sugar dissolving, is an example of a chemical reaction? And bonus, if you can tell me what kind of chemical reaction it is, the crowd will love you more. All right.
Rusting as a redox reaction.
Okay.
Rusting as oxidation.
You both get it. Good job. Redox, oxidation reduction. It's an oxidation process. Did you say reduction?
Oxidation.
You said oxidation. You said redox. Okay. You're both good, and the crowd loves you both. All right. So, what? Still tied. All right. So this is the tie break. Out of the top 50 countries in the world, where does the US rank for science education? This is multiple choice. Is it A in the top 5, B in the top 20, A in the top 5, B in the top 10, C in the top 20, or D in the top 50? This is science education. This is a standardized test given to 15-year-olds around the world. All right. You got your answer? All right. What do you say?
We're going to say D.
D, which was?
Among the top 50.
Yes, right. Among the top 50. That is what they say. Okay, what is your guess?
That was also our guess.
All right, well, you're both wrong. It's in the top 20. It's actually number 20.
Isn't it required to be in the top 20 to also be in the top 50? Right.
Yeah, but they knew what I was saying. Come on. Jeez. I didn't believe this kid. Take points off of him. All right, so we need a tiebreaker. Can you name, let's see here, can you name one of the top 2 countries for science education in the world? Based on the same thing. So 15-year-olds, standard test. One of the top 2. What's your guess? Okay, I think you're ready. What do you say?
Germany.
Germany. Okay.
We're naming 2.
You're naming 1.
The Netherlands.
Netherlands. No, you're both wrong again. I'm sorry, but it's Hong Kong and then Singapore are numbers 1 and 2.
Hong Kong is part of China. Yeah.
Hong Kong is a free, independent country according to this, whatever. But you didn't guess Hong Kong or China anyway. So, sorry, Jeanette, that was harsh. Let's go ahead and give them both whatever we can. So thank you, both teams. Okay, so just as a quick reminder, don't forget about the raffle. Don't forget about the fan favorite. So without any more ado, we have Mohammed Afsar, and he is from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So, Mohammed, the time is yours. Sorry, he's on the first page. He came late. We'll give them a second so they can score you. Mohammed Afsa. His name's right up there. Okay. Yeah, the big one. Okay.
Within the last 50 years, the global food production has increased threefold, and per capita food supply was increased from 2,200 to 2,800 kilocalorie. Within the last 100 years, the global food prices has dropped 1% per year, despite an increase in global population from 1.7 billion to 8.7 billion. All this information indicates our achievement in terms of food security, but that's not the whole story. For getting more crops, farmers apply excess amount of nutrients in the soil as a fertilizers. And these fertilizers are then transported from soil to the water bodies and causes water pollution. In wetland biogeochemistry, dissolved organic matter plays a central role as a mobile source of nutrients and energy for these minerals and for these nutrients, and thus they control the cycling of these nutrients. During this transportation, colloid particles, which are very tiny substances present in soil, can facilitate these mobilization of nutrients, as these colloid particles are very small in size and they have very large surface area. So our group is trying to figure out the influence of these colloid mobilization on the fate and transport of nutrients from soil to the water under different climatic conditions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mohammed. Next up, we have Daniel Ookushe, and he's from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Daniel.
All right. So when I say carbon emissions, what's the first thing you guys think of? I know if you're asking me, what I'd probably think of is like car exhaust or maybe industrial waste, but my project is focusing on something that's much more unlikely, the soil beneath us. So there's a certain type of soil called histosols, which is organic and very nutrient rich, and farmers grow vegetables and grow their cattle on there. And unbeknownst to them, is also a very big source of carbon emissions. The project that I'm working on, which is funded by the USDA and FSA, will be focusing on finding a method, determining which method is the most effective in getting these farmers to attend USDA programs, which will not only teach and inform these farmers about the threats that this type of soil causes, but will also teach them very simple, practical ways that they can limit carbon emissions from these soils. The goal of this project is to take everything based on like a regional study and be able to apply it to a nationwide program, which will be able to limit the carbon emissions from this type of soil. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Next up, we have Hadi Al-Khatib, and he is from the College of Engineering. Hadi, the time is yours.
Do you get scared when you drive across a big bridge? Do you wonder if this bridge is going to collapse? Wouldn't you feel better if you knew that the bridge was hooked up to a health monitoring system? Yes, a health monitoring system. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, 1 out of 9 bridges in the United States is in urgent need of repair. Federal Highway Administration estimates that it would cost $9 billion per year more than what we are currently spending to fix the problem. Sad situations like the collapse of the I-35 bridge that happened in Minnesota in 2007 and killed 13 innocent people, and the traffic jam caused by the temporary closure of the I-495 bridge last year here in Delaware, and many other incidents have called into question our current bridge inspection methods. With a rapidly aging infrastructure, is it sufficient to rely on visual bridge inspections that are conducted once every 2 years? In my research, we combined new information technologies and advanced sensing system with the bridge engineering to come up with the smart bridges. Utilizing the monitored data, the health of these bridges can be continuously monitored and inspected. By doing this, bridge owners and Federal Highway Administrations can make sure that the bridges we drive on are not going to collapse, and also they can spend their limited funds on the most urgent problems. If my research is successfully implemented, I promise you as a bridge doctor that bridges will be safer, healthier, and smarter. And also, you will not have to pay the extra $9 billion of taxes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Hadi. Sabine Neal is not here, so Linda Grand from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources is next up. Linda.
Let's say you're going grocery shopping for Thanksgiving dinner, but you only have $20 to spend. You want to spend your money wisely so you can have a good dinner for your family. You want to get the most bang for your buck. Conservation professionals have a similar issue. Conservation professionals are people that go out and purchase land and water for conservation for our enjoyment, but they have limited budgets, and they want to make sure they spend their money wisely. My research focuses on surveying these professionals to see how they feel about a method called optimization. Optimization uses benefits and costs within a given budget to kind of create a grocery list of projects that they should invest in. So now that they have, and these projects will have the highest benefit for a given cost. So we surveyed these professionals asking what they think, and we found out that there's just a lack of incentive to change. They've been doing what they've been doing. Why should they do anything differently? Also, we found that they just don't really care that much about being cost effective. This is concerning because a lot of these people work for the government and are spending our tax dollars. They should care how they spend it. Therefore, however, we did find that they think optimization is a good idea, and that if we increase training and education, they're more willing to adopt. Therefore, I propose we get all the software out there, we train them, we teach them how to use optimization, so these conservation professionals are getting the most bang from our buck.
All right, thank you, Linda. Next up, we have Yuga Bai from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Yuga, your time.
With the increasing trend of water deficiency, recycled water becomes more and more important. For example, it can be used to irrigate farmland. However, before applying, a lot of things need to be removed from the dirty wastewater, and phosphate is one of them. Phosphate concentration in wastewater could be more than 10 times higher than the requirement of irrigation water. And here comes the question, what should we do to remove this large amount of phosphate from the wastewater? And one solution is polyphosphate. What is polyphosphate? Basically, it's a polymer that can accumulate large amount of phosphate, and in this way, it can be used in phosphate removal system. This sounds very promising, right? However, in this country, every year, more than 1/5 of the wastewater treatment facilities report phosphate removal failure. Why is that? Because polyphosphate can be formed, but it can also easily break down under some conditions and release free phosphate again in the wastewater. Thus, my research question is, under what condition can we form the largest amount of polyphosphate in wastewater and keep it longer in this system? And to the end, how we can remove the largest amount of phosphate significantly and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuga. Next up, we have Ching Wong, and she is from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Ching, the time is yours.
Have you guys heard of norovirus? Sometimes we call it cruise ship virus or winter flu virus. Norovirus called two-bucket disease. Two-bucket disease is exactly like what it sounds like. It has severe diarrhea at one end and also extreme vomit at the other end. So it's party killer. It ruins your parties, your holidays, your ceremonies. Can you imagine the bride and groom fighting for bathroom with the guests during the wedding ceremony? Nothing can be worse than that. So virus can be everywhere. Especially like hiding in fruit and vegetables. It causes 5.5 million foodborne illness every year in the United States, especially a lot of them associated with salad. Why do we have so many cases of norovirus, and why they like to remain dominant in fresh fruit and vegetables even after thorough washing? And why they're so difficult to remove? So if you want to prevent virus from your food, you have to figure out how virus can bind, survive, and distribute in fruit and vegetables. By understanding this process, it will give us a close look to see how virus can interact with different parts of the produce. And also, let us better understand the structure of the virus, how they stay stable in the environment. So with this knowledge, we're able to create better preventive strategies and help the public from foodborne illness for better and healthy life. So you can enjoy your parties. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ching. Next up is Francesca Picone, and she is from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Francesca.
Nutrient pollution in the Delaware Inland Bays has recently become a major concern. But don't worry, we have oysters. Oysters are known to foster healthy ecosystems by filtering these nutrients out of the water. For the past year, I've been working with the Center for Experimental and Applied Economics, studying a way to understand which kinds of information can be dispersed to consumers to affect economic and environmental decisions while purchasing oysters. We want to know more about consumer willingness to pay for oysters based on a variety of treatments. So in order to get answers, we studied about 300 people from across the state. Participants were given different amounts of information, including the benefits provided by oysters, as well as the effects of different amounts of nutrients in water and how that affects the bays. Participants then answered 8 yes or no questions about their willingness to pay for oysters at a specific price. After analyzing the data, we found that there is a significant difference in price premiums that people are willing to pay depending on the amount of information that they are provided. For example, if people are provided with just information about NOAA's assessments of water quality, price premiums jump anywhere from 19 to 97 cents on average.
All right, thank you, Francesca. Next up, we have Mara Baker, and she is from Delaware Technical Community College. Mara.
So ticks, no one likes them, and for good reason. They feed off our blood like vampires, and they expose us to some nasty diseases. One of which most of you are probably familiar with, Lyme disease. Lyme disease is the most common tick-borne disease, and it's endemic to the United States. It is estimated that there are 300,000 cases of Lyme disease each year, which is significant because when you consider that 96% of those cases are in a highly condensed geographical region, and Delaware just happens to be one of them. I'm so sorry. I have been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be a part of a long-term project that collects a sample of the local tick population each summer and are taken back to the lab. We perform a series of tests to determine different qualities. One of which is the percentage of the local tick population that is infected with Borrelia burgdorferi, the causative agent of Lyme disease. The significance of my research is that these can be used to detect patterns which will help form preventative measures. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mara. Next up, we have Hui Li, and she's from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Hui.
Hi, everyone. An amazing compound was introduced by Monsanto company called glyphosate. You might not be quite familiar with this compound. Then how about its trade name, Roundup? It's a famous herbicide widely used by farmers in agriculture and by gardeners in horticulture and also by homeowners at their backyards. Ever since then, this compound swept around the globe in more than 160 countries. Besides its high efficiency on killing weeds, this compound was believed as benign as pure water to humans. And US EPA classified this compound into a quite safe group to humans. So no need to worry them, we just apply it. And in year 2012, more than 280 million pounds of glyphosate was applied in agriculture in US. However, in March of 2015, a huge boom was thrown out by World Health Organization, saying that glyphosate is a probably carcinogenic compound to humans. Wow, what should we do then? To abandon or stick to it? This is a question. So my research is focusing on detailed assessment of the degradation pathway of this compound using an isotope labeling technique to track its transformation in soils. So only if we understand the fundamental mechanisms can we try to seek ways to make better use of it or maybe try to modify it into a more environmentally friendly form. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Hui. Next up, we have Rebecca Hauser, and she's from the College of Engineering. Rebecca.
In the next few hours, almost everyone in this room will drive home, go into our houses, and turn on a few lights. We'll do this largely without thinking about how we get the energy to make our vehicles or our lights work. In fact, the electric power and transportation sectors in the United States are two of our largest consumers of non-renewable resources, such as coal or gasoline. Imagine if we were able to more fully harness the power of renewable resources, such as sunlight or wind, in order to make our lights and vehicles work. I am part of a Vehicle-to-Grid, or V2G, research group, and we are demonstrating that this is possible. In order to appreciate how V2G works, first we need to understand a couple of challenges facing increased use of renewable resources and electric vehicles. Incorporating renewable resources into the electric power system, or the grid, is difficult because these resources provide energy when the environment is right, not necessarily when users are demanding a lot of electricity. Any electricity generated that is not immediately used is wasted because the grid doesn't provide storage. One of the main obstacles to getting more electric vehicles on the road is the cost of the vehicle, which in turn is largely due to the cost of the battery. Ironically, these batteries are sitting parked and unused most of the time. So now we have two pieces of a puzzle: renewable resources that need storage and expensive, underutilized batteries. V2G fits these two pieces together by allowing electric vehicles to absorb electricity and send it back to the grid as needed. Drivers can get paid for allowing their vehicles to provide this service, thus offsetting the cost of the vehicle. Through V2G, we are reimagining both vehicles and the grid. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next up, we have Adam Wickline, and he's from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Adam, the time is yours.
I'd like to start by asking you all to think about your childhood when you may have kept fish as pets in your home. And I'd like you to think about the absurdly colored flakes that you used to feed them. Now I want you to picture fish in the wild, and what might be fish food in the wild? Is there a giant hand sprinkling flakes into our local waters? Well, that would be quite a sight. We actually know that fish food in the wild is comprised of mostly small animals, most of which are no larger than a grain of rice, drifting freely through our waters. This is what we call zooplankton, and this is the subject of my research. Delaware Bay is home to numerous economically important fisheries that depend on zooplankton, but we haven't researched the zooplankton here since the 1950s. Using ZooScan, a new imaging technology, I am able to rapidly quantify zooplankton community and understand their movements through space and time. This new technology provides us with an opportunity to better understand the fish food of Delaware Bay and understand what threats they might undergo. Think about your fish back at home. If you didn't feed him those flakes, he would eventually end up belly up. Hopefully, my work can provide resource managers new data to help them manage fisheries well into the future. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Adam. Next up, we have Corey Charpentier, and she is also from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Corey.
What do you think of when I say the word migration? Long journeys across land and sea, maybe birds, whales, butterflies? Let me challenge that thought. The greatest migration of biomass on Earth is actually conducted by a much less well-known group of animals, zooplankton. Zooplankton range in size from tiny millimeter crustaceans to jellyfish as big as you and I. They're thought to be ocean drifters, just pushed around by currents and tides. To the contrary, many zooplankton conduct daily vertical migrations, swimming to depths of up to 100 meters and then resurfacing from day to night. That's the equivalent of you and I walking a 50-mile round trip just to get dinner every single day. So as you can imagine, these migrations, they're important to cycling of nutrients and food chain interactions in aquatic systems. What I investigate is how zooplankton perceive their environment through both vision and smell to conduct vertical migration. So my current and most exciting research suggests that exposing zooplankton to increased acidity in seawater decreases their ability to, smell and see and do these migrations. That's a big deal. Worldwide, we're experiencing increases in ocean acidity. And so over the next few years, vertical migration could change forever. And I, for one, would like to stay one step ahead of this change and the most impactful migration on the planet.
Thank you. Thank you, Corey. Next up, we have Liang Gong, and she is from the College of Engineering. Liang.
Plastic everywhere. Plastic bags, jars, and bottles, all these products are such an essential part of our daily life. Every year, 30 million tons of plastic waste is generated, but only 7% is recovered for recycling. The other 93%, that is 28 million tons of plastic waste, ends up in landfills, rivers, and oceans, and it contributes to such devastating problems as the Great Pacific Ocean garbage patch, which is a swirling vortex of garbage, the size of North America, where plastic outnumbers plankton. Plus, most plastic is petroleum-based and non-degradable. So all the discarded bottles and jars, they will stay where they are for thousands and thousands of years. And if we take no action today, eventually we will be drowning in the sea of plastic garbage. So can we solve this problem and save the Earth? No. The answer is yes. In our lab, we make a new plastic from plant oils, and this bioplastic can be fully degraded into water and carbon dioxide within 3 months. In addition, with excellent processing properties, this bioplastic can be molded into almost any form of plastic product to fulfill our everyday use. Finally, with this material, we are able to replace all petroleum-based plastic within 50 years and leave a green planet to our future generations. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Liang. Next up, we have Audrey Gamble, and she is from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Audrey, the time is yours.
Imagine taking a bite of a nice crispy apple, later to find out that it had been sprayed with a known poison and carcinogen. No, I'm not talking about Snow White. In the early 1900s, it was common practice to spray apples with lead arsenate, now a known carcinogen, to protect them against insects. This pesticide was applied in heavy doses very frequently and can still be found in orchards throughout the state of Delaware and the entire US. Although this pesticide has since been banned, it can still be found in the soil because of its resilience. Humans can ingest contaminated soil through airborne particles and also adhering to garden crops. Children are most likely to ingest soil while playing outside. We all had a friend in preschool who was known to make mud pies and eat them during playtime. For my research, I take soil samples from old orchards, bring them back to the lab, and run tests to determine the forms and availability of arsenic. I also run tests which mimic the human gastrointestinal system to determine how much of the arsenic is toxic in the human body. With this research, I hope to identify the best practices to clean up soils in the state of Delaware and keep them safe for future residents. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Audrey. Next up, we have Tiara Rollins, and she is from the College of Engineering. Tiara, the time is yours.
There are over 600,000 bridges in the United States, 11% of which are rated structurally deficient. That means 1 out of 9 bridges that you drive over needs to be upgraded to meet the demands of modern traffic. Now, we don't need Band-Aid repairs that are only going to last the next 5 to 10 years. We need strengthening and repair methods that are going to significantly lengthen the life of these structures, and that's what my research focuses on. I've focused on finding information on new and innovative bridge strengthening methods that have been developed in the last 20 years and making that information more accessible. As part of my research, I developed a website framework where that information can be stored on new and traditional bridge strengthening methods and make that information accessible to the public so that bridge owners and engineers can access technology information, photographs, case histories, design examples of any bridge strengthening method listed on the site. They can also upload their own case studies of bridge strengthening projects that they've completed which will allow the site to be built continually. This means that the site can continually be updated with information on technologies that will be developed and implemented in future years. This website could revolutionize the way that bridges are strengthened and repaired simply by making the information more available on what options are out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tiara. Next up, we have Lauren Knapp, and she's from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Lauren, the time is yours.
Let's all be honest with ourselves just for a second. Have any of us purchased or eaten a candy bar before? Okay, I hope everybody says yes to that question. Now, why did you do it? See, every time you buy, say, a candy bar, how much you're willing to pay for that good is a function of its attributes or characteristics. Maybe you wanted the nuts or a dark chocolate, or you wanted a bunch of little pieces in individual wrappers so you could eat 20 at a time like I do. But every time you do this, the producer of the good then knows exactly which characteristics you want. Now, I wish the world of energy economics and energy policy was that easy, but it's not. See, policymakers in Delaware and Maryland are tasked with creating renewable energy resources for the state, but including offshore wind power. But they don't know how much people are willing to pay for it and what about it that they want. You know, do we want to build wind turbines everywhere? Or how much energy we want to produce from it? Or do we want to put it close to our houses? See, all these aspects are really important for understanding how much people are willing to pay for it and maintaining public support. So that's where my research comes in. My research team and I sent out thousands of surveys, and we asked people if they're willing to pay money for it. And people are willing to pay $5 or $10 more per month to have electricity generated from offshore wind power. And hopefully then this can inform our future energy decisions. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Next up, we have Molly Asher, and she's from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Molly, the time is yours.
Close your eyes and picture a coral reef. I imagine you're thinking of fish and turtles and sharks, but it is the corals themselves that are the true architects of the reef. Every summer, on the full moon of the hottest month of the year, most reef-building corals release their eggs and sperm into the water column in a spectacular mass spawning event. The fertilized eggs drift to the open ocean before returning to the reef to settle on the bottom. These larvae are only about the size of a freckle. No eyes, ears, nose, or fins, yet miraculously, many of them are able to successfully return to the reef. However, the oceans are changing drastically. You've all heard about climate change. Well, excess CO2 in the atmosphere can be incorporated into the ocean, changing the chemistry and altering the neural development of marine animals. For example, juvenile reef fish, after exposure to high CO2, can no longer tell the difference between the smell of the open ocean to the smell of the reef. However, we know very little about the impacts on the sensory systems of corals. Therefore, my research analyzes the sensory preferences or smelling ability of coral larvae after exposure to high CO2. If the larvae can no longer find their way back to the reef, the very foundation of the reef ecosystem begins to fail. So close your eyes again and picture a future reef. Not as pretty of a picture, right? Understanding the behavior of coral larvae after exposure to high CO2 and incorporating this into management practices can help us to ensure the future of coral reefs. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Molly. Next up, we have Yi Ma, and she's from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Yi, the time is yours.
Hello. Imagine the wind blows over quiet water. So what will you observe? Waves. So what happened before those cute big waves? That is the lagomere circulation. Lagomere circulation is a kind of phenomenon that you observe the wide streaks along the wind direction on the surface of the water. And because it's hard for us to observe that in the sea, because as long as you have wind, you have waves, and you are lucky enough, you can observe that. But you cannot control the wind in this ocean. So we did the experiment in the laboratory and collect those data. We can detect the wind, we can control the waves,
And we can know the lagomere circulations in different wind speed, wind directions, and how they control. So why are we so interested in the lagomere circulations? Because it is the lagomere circulation who help the heat flux. And it is the heat flux that has a very important factor to the climate change. So what can those heat flux do of the climate change? You know, the El Nino? The El Nino this year is very important. And so we bet it is a warm winter. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Yi. And with that, that wraps up our evening. So let's go ahead and give everybody a loud round of applause. Thank you all so much for coming, but the night is not over yet. The scores are going to be tallied right now, and there is food, and there are beverages of the alcoholic variety also. And I just want to thank again Denon and our sponsors. Please stick around. We're going to announce the winners in just a few minutes, as fast as we can get them tallied. So thank you.